Welcome back to the 2 Months Podcast presented by Pete's Concrete. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall. And what a great week it was for the McIntyre and Ruptash family, friends of our podcast. And we have the father of Ozzy McIntyre, Brody McIntyre, aka the closer. Great week last week for you guys. How exciting was that? And welcome to the pod, closer. How's things going?
Things are going well, buddy. It was a big week for the family. But the family was huddled around the TV, had the live stream going to see where my kid was going to end up. And it turned out to a pretty cool organization, right? Third in the league for fan base. So pretty cool organization to be part of. Pat Falloon back in the day, right?
Yep.
Lots of cool looking jersey too, right? And I found out Gonzaga University's right there too. So that should be pretty cool. Try to figure out a way to get down there and watch a hockey game and then go watch a basketball game. So that'll be very interesting. But yeah, it was pretty cool, pretty stressful. You're thinking as a dad, you're thinking, man, this is going to be where my kid could be living for the next, X amount of years. So it was a little stressful, but turned out fine. It was lots of fun at the end of the day, and that my kid chases dreams.
There we go. And the next 5 years will be really fun to watch, obviously. And we have Clay Vanderham back with us too. Vandy, how's it going?
Vandy is dandy. I too was glued in to the live feed of the YouTube WHL channel. Yeah, it was exciting. I was pumped for the boys, man. I mean, there were a lot of kids. My son goes to school with quite a few of them at Vimy, so he was kind of dialed in with it as well. One of his good buddies, Devin Pelche, got drafted too. I think he went to Wenatchee, round 3.
He's a good player.
Yeah, and I think he's a North Sierra kid too, but moved to Sherwood Park. But anyway, yeah, it was exciting. It was good. Congratulations to everybody, all the kids that got drafted, to Oz and Luke. And the easy part's done now, boys.
That's what I was reminded
at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I reminded him 8,000 times in the last few days.
Right.
Now it's buddy.
Yeah.
Now the fun and stress, the fun part, or the hard, obviously the hard work goes into this now. So, for these kids, for some of the people that aren't, that tuned into hockey and whatnot, but where's the next step for them? Obviously, they'll go to WHL rookie camps or development camps probably, but for the next year's hockey season, are they trying out for are they going back to St. Albert, or are they going back to the teams that they played on that previous year? Or what's the next step in the graduation process closer to this?
Well, most of them will end up, I should say most of them, but like the higher end of the draft will end up back in U18 hockey, wherever they're from.
Yeah.
So the goal would be U18 AAA. Some of them won't make that along the way, but I would suggest probably the first 2-3 rounds of kids will be, I don't want to say locks, but I would be shocked if they didn't play U18 AAA wherever their organization is. But first they'll go to, some teams have like a spring camp. Some do not. And for like the first rounders, they'll probably second rounders, maybe too. I'm not sure. They'll go to camp, hang out for, there'll be a weekend, Thursday through Sunday, and then they'll cut down to X amount of kids. And then they'll keep the 09 kids their first couple rounds of picks, would be my guess. And they'll hang out for a week, do some practices, stay with billet families, get into an exhibition game or two, and then they'll ship them home. And then they go back and play U18, go back to their tryouts, and they're off and running for the year.
There you go. Vandy, your thoughts on kind of what you saw in the live stream and the excitement from, the Ruptash, the McIntyres, or some of the other kids you were talking about earlier?
Well, I mean,
more of it
having known, Brody and Rupp I've known for my whole life, but watching their kids go through I remember hearing about Ozzy and Luke. I mean, Luke was kind of playing Mill Woods in novice, and then you watch and you kind of follow their progression, and then you start seeing names like Ben Harvey, guys that were on their hockey team playing on brick or caps or whatever it was. And you start seeing some of these kids, Jackson, Pisani, and Cole Carter, and these kids, and you're like, well, when you're watching them, you know how good they are, and then knowing that other obviously scouts see how good they are as well. You're like, yeah, these kids really are pretty good. But yeah, it's an exciting time. But you know, like we said, the easy part is getting to this spot. The hard part is now you've got, I mean, you kind of get to a crossroads at this age, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brody, but I mean, you've got to put, not being a teenager on hold. Yeah, I won't go that far, but I mean, they're on a path to where, you know, and I don't want to put pressure on the kids, but they're on a path to where the NHL is realistic, right?
Oh
It's
boy,
it's a
that's a pretty big
realistic.
statement.
Well, you know what I mean. Like you know what I mean. Like you're on that
Yeah.
path
That trajectory is the right
trajectory to you know, and they're you said it, you know, chasing his dreams, and it's exciting. It's I don't have a kid in that realm, but I mean, living vicariously through you and Rupp and other families, it's awesome to be a part of, and I'm glad you're welcoming me into it and sharing your experiences with me, because it's cool, man. It is.
It is pretty cool. It's stressful too, though, boys. Holy
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, closer. Harvey, there is that the same one that was on the brick tournament? I think his dad's a fireman or a firefighter.
Yeah. Ben's the kid and the dad's Mark, right? He's a heck of a player. He's a strong beast of a kid, can score, back checks like crazy. He's thick, right? He's 200-foot player. He's an excellent hockey player and an awesome kid too.
Yeah,
and dad's parents are beauties too.
Yeah, I remember when you guys let me kind of sit with you guys in during the brick tournament there, and just how nice his father was. I just remember
he's so nice.
So one of the nice fathers there, and obviously Fernando Pisani, and congratulations to his kid and all that. You're a great defenseman too, isn't he? Closer.
He's very good. Yeah. You want to hear a funny story about Harv? He goes at that brick tournament. I have the picture of this. I'll send it to you guys after, because man, is it hilarious. I'm talking to him and all of a sudden he's like, "Oh my God, look at my father-in-law." So I look over and there's a booth where, you know, you can get those screenshot t-shirts and hoodies, you know, you put the logo down, but he was too cheap to buy the shirt. So this is a grandpa, he's got his shirt off. He gave him the shirt he had on. He just standing there as they're just putting the logo on his current shirt.
That's awesome. We should hopefully in the future. I know things are probably still a bit busy and fresh, and there's a lot going on, but obviously school, there's that. So maybe later in the summer we can get these kids on, and
that'd be unreal, man.
Yeah, so
I'll make it happen. I'll get them all on.
Yeah, they were on before during the World Junior run that we had here. Vandy's great idea. That was a pretty sweet pod back in the days that we don't want to remember during COVID times. But great to have these kids on at that age, and now they're drafted. So yeah, well, I know there's been some questions for that, and we've been talking about it internally. So we look forward to getting those kids on when the opportunity arises here and things get a little bit more easy. I know there's still important work to get done, especially some schoolwork and all that, but we will get there for sure. Yeah, so let's move over to the NHL and some great playoff hockey, and let's start with our local theme here in the Edmonton Oilers and our Edmonton Oilers report, sponsored by our friends at Shadified Salon and Barbershop. I don't know if you guys have your own barbers, but I got mine done not too long ago. I think Vandy was chirping me, "Do you get your hair cut every day?" But I think you guys need to come go see Shadi here. So maybe there is a time. But you guys probably got some local barbers.
Buddy, I don't have enough hair. I'm on my last. I'm on my last leg. I've got probably 3 or 4 years, and then I'm just gonna go Ruptash Wood.
You're going back. You're going like Mark Messier.
Yeah, it's legit. It's not even worth it. I could probably cut it myself.
You're not going to do the 30-day turkey run and put a bucket on your head for 30 days. But yeah, our great friends at Shadified, they're always taking care of the players and taking care of us on the pod too. So, and are making our city look great. As Nikita Zadorov took a little shot at our city here. So that was that was interesting, coming with the heat. So on that one, but obviously big news. It was actually funny. I was leaving work today, and I was going downtown to head to a doctor's appointment, and right when the news came of Carson Soucy getting suspended, I was driving by the rink, and he was walking across the street with Casey DeSmith and a trainer, and he got the news at that point. It was kind of funny. Right when it came on my Twitter, he was getting it too, and he got stopped in the crosswalk. So Yeah, unfortunate news, I guess, for the Canuck fans, but not the greatest play that you would want to see, especially onto the best player in the National Hockey League, Connor McDavid. But we will get into the whole series first, and we'll kind of break down that play after. But where are we at right now, closer, with this series? I know you're not really panicked right now, and you know there are depth there, but where's your level of concern at right now?
My level of concern is focused solely on a guy by the name of Stuart Skinner. I think the Oilers have dominated the series from other than 5-minute bits and pieces, but for the most part, I feel like they've had the puck 75% of the time. And you listen on the radio and they're talking about how they don't have any hits. Like, how the hell could they have any hits? They have the puck the whole game.
Yeah.
But my level of concern is with Stuart Skinner. He's being outplayed again in the playoffs and being outplayed by a third string goalie. They outshot them 40 something to whatever it was, 16, 17 yesterday, and they lost. So and what do you do, right? If you put in Pickard, well, what does that mean? That's the end of Stuart Skinner. I think they're kind of forced to go back to him, and that's a scary thought as well. That's my only concern, and it's a pretty darn big concern, is the goaltending being one at the other end of the ice.
Yeah, obviously, you put in the group chat a video of Frank Seravalli talking about on his show, The Daily Faceoff. Not the biggest Frank fan, but I was driving a little earlier tonight. I just went to go see my mom, and on the way home, I heard Bob Stauffer and Frank doing their hits for an hour on 6:30 Ched. And actually, if you guys get a chance, if you haven't listened to it, go listen to the podcast version, especially the first half an hour, because Frank does I'm not the biggest fan, but the guy does a good job at the end of the day. So I have my differences with him in other ways, but he broke it down in Skinner's game. He actually is, under the salary cap era, the worst goaltender in the playoffs, history of the playoffs right now under the salary cap era. His save percentage is a 793 right now in the playoffs. And so that's obviously not good in career in his playoffs right now. And out of goals above expected, he's actually given up 6 more goals than he's actually should have given up. So even it dives deeper into the numbers. Now, Vandy, I pose this question to you because Bob Stauffer was doing this on the fly. And I'm not trying to take a shot, but I guess I'm trying to take a shot because there's a little fun thing that gets put in our chat. But 7 head coaches, same goalie coach. I agree with Frank. Bob brought that up. Bob Stauffer, who works for the Edmonton Oilers. He said it is interesting that you have seven different head coaches, same goalie coach. But as Frank said, he's like, if a plane crashes, it's not on one person, it's on multiple people. That was kind of maybe a weird analogy to bring up, but anyways, where are you at with, maybe the goaltending coach, but the goaltending situation, or is your level of concern pretty high in this too?
Well,
because if you just get good goaltending, they're up 3-0 in this series, right? Like,
if they get
their
saves,
average goaltending.
Yeah. What concerns me is, watching Skinner during the media scrum today, where he looked extremely defeated. And
oh, really?
You worry about a guy's mental state. Let's not forget he's a local guy, so
24 years old, yeah,
and he's a local kid.
And Bob didn't like that he didn't do media. That was another thing.
A lot of guys didn't, right? I was listening to Kevin Carius this morning on 1440, and Speck was saying the same thing. Now, I mean, as a player, you have a right not to talk to the media. I get that.
And the way it works, just to kind of give people, pull the curtain back a little. Sorry to interrupt you there, Vandy.
All good, dude.
As it wasn't all year in the press box for the Flames, but what it is the way it works is we obviously view the game, we watch the game, and then we text the PR guy who we want to see after the game. So we put in our request as media people. So obviously, from what I understood, all the Edmonton reporters and somewhat the Vancouver reporters put in a request to see Skinner. Skinner wasn't there. Now, Frank Seravalli talked about his, because he lives in Philadelphia. He actually been a few times during the Flyers playoff runs where a player played a bad game and didn't have a good game and said, I'm not doing media. He's in the trainer's room. And actually Paul Holmgren or others pulled that guy out of that training room and said, no, you did play bad and you're going to answer that to the media. So that didn't happen. And that's obviously a couple of years ago. Paul Holmgren's not there no more in that role, but finish your thought, Dandy. Sorry.
Well, I mean, I think, I'll save what I put into our chat. I'll keep that internal, but I don't. I'm worried more about the mental state of Stuart Skinner and where he's at. You know, the confidence is at an all-time low. Can he? Let's see what he can do tomorrow night. We've seen him rebound with some great games, and if you're going to dissect it, and as every media or every hockey analyst has over the last day or so, is it's strictly technique, and he's missing assignments as a defenseman would or a forward. He's missing assignments, and he's not getting to those areas to make that save. Perhaps reading and following the puck where that kind of thing. Turnovers, you can't. I mean, they're tough. I mean, the forward pass up the middle, that's a simple play where either panicking and whatnot. But those are the situations, like Brody said, if we get those saves, we're probably up 2-1, if not 3-0.
Yeah.
But it's not where we're at. It's only 2-1, everybody. Like,
Yeah.
let's calm down.
They're gonna win like 6-1 tomorrow.
I could see
Yeah,
it because we talked about,
we should be more concerned about our secondary scoring. Yes, our goalie, Skinner's in a little bit of a funk right now, but our secondary scoring. Why are we 9 years into Nugent Hopkins, the first overall draft pick, and he still can't carry a line?
Yeah,
like I mean,
that's what he is, man. Right?
I know that, but
that's probably why he took a pay cut too. His contract before the one he's on was $6 million, and the data or whatever the numbers show that he's a $5.1.2 million player, whatever. It's just over $5 million. So I know it's a long-term deal, but he did take a pay cut to keep that contract and stay here. But yeah,
no, I'm gonna like I say, I'm concerned about Skinner's mental being and his where he's at confidence wise mentally as a goaltender. I'm positive that these athletes, the professional athletes, he's going to rebound tomorrow and probably have a hell of a game.
Yeah.
And, we're going to win. 6-1 would be fantastic. But let's.
It is a close group. Like, I've been very fortunate to be at some of those practices and morning skates throughout this season, more this season than in the past. And, you've been to those too, Vandy. I could see, and again, it's probably like this in every organization, but that there's a tightness between that group. And I've seen Jack Campbell being here. He's been here for a few weeks now, and he's also he's talking to Skinner. So he's pulling for him too, right? Like, and Elliot Friedman did on his podcast. He's like, Jack Campbell would probably be an option. The reason why he wasn't an option is because of the contract he makes. So he did play bad and then went down, played good, then played bad, but the last couple months in the American Hockey League, he played good. And no one could tell me, I know I get flack for this at times. I just want to credit the people I listen to good takes from. Is Archer Sheeloff played most of the year in the American Hockey League. He honed his craft in the American Hockey League, just like Jack Campbell is. So why is it it's a development league to get better and restore your game if you've lost confidence? So,
is Campbell here?
He is here. He's been here for 2 weeks now.
He's Black Ace.
He's a Black Ace, yeah. So
could he play technically? Could they start him tomorrow?
They could start him tomorrow if they want to. Yeah, they easily could start him tomorrow. And I'm not joking, guys. Like, he has looked completely different in that net. And I've watched him. I know it's on TV because when he was with the Leafs for so many years, and his last 2 years, there's obviously full year with the Oilers last year and started the year with this year. He looks bigger and he looks way more confident. Like, he looks really good. The one thing I loved in practice the other day, I was just blown away by this. And it's not shocking to hear this about Corey Perry, but Corey Perry was just tipping pucks. Like, he had Stetcher and Broberg at the top just shooting pucks. And Campbell was just finished a drill at the other end, and he was probably doing that drill for 20 minutes. He came down to the end close to the Zamboni. He looked over and he just raced over to Perry, said, "Hold on a second, I want to be in net, and while you're trying to tip those pucks, I want to be in net." And they did that drill for 15 minutes. And it was just Stetcher, Broberg, firing pucks, and he was just tipping. He was just in the zone. Like, I counted maybe only 3 goals ever went by him, and he was, and I'm not, and he was tipping them. Perry was tipping a lot of them. Like, he didn't miss a lot. So he looks good in my eyes. I don't know if that's going to be an option tomorrow. We obviously know what Chris Knob. I didn't
I say no chance of that.
No,
He might not play tomorrow, and you might give him that full reset. But like in terms of, is Skinner starting tomorrow, guys, or is Pickard starting tomorrow? Where are you at?
You have to start Skinner.
Okay.
You have to.
Yeah.
And why do you say that, Clay?
Well, first the team. I mean, what I know Pickard had a great year and did exactly what you want a backup to do. But this is a different animal. This is playoffs, and you need all your guys going, and Skinner's going to want that net. If he's a true, and he is, not questioning his character or anything, but he's a professional, and he's going to want that net, and he's going to come in there. He's going to be focused mentally. He'll be ready to go.
They're getting goalied right now, and they cannot get goalied. They got to figure
right. Okay, so if he comes in tomorrow and the same thing as the first 3 games, then okay. Now let's go back to the drawing board here. Maybe let's throw Soupy in for game 4, 5. I mean, but yeah. I don't suspect that'll happen. I think for a team perspective, I think you need Skinner's their guy in that room. He's the guy, and they've all known that. They've accepted that when Campbell went down. And I think if you throw Pickard in, you're telling the team that you really don't have confidence.
Yeah.
Whether you come out and say it or not, like you can make up all the words.
Well, he's as of yet. I didn't hear him today. I heard him last night. I haven't been a chance to listen to Knoblauch today, but last night he didn't commit. He said emotions are high, and he did say, either we'll see Skinner again, either it's game 4 or game 5. And I thought when he said maybe game 4 or game 5, I thought maybe they're obviously leaning to starting Pickard and backing and Skinner.
Brody, what do you think?
I think it's not good for podcasts, but I totally agree with you, Vanny, in that he's your guy all year. You're showing like you're panicking if you're going to Pickard or Pickard. Right. And I think also it would mess with Skinner so bad that if you go to Pickard, geez, I can't even say his name. You can't. It's pretty tough to go back to Skinner later, and I think that's
how is it tougher?
Not an ideal situation.
But what if it's tougher to go to Pickard in an elimination game if you're down 3-1 in the series going back to Vancouver? If you lose, like
if you're down 3-1 and you lose and the same shots are just like they are, then you've got to go to. Yeah. You can't play Skinner the next game, in my opinion.
And so your season
at some point you got to just be like that's enough. But I don't think they're not there yet, right? They win tomorrow. Yeah. The Oilers can come out and play their best game of the series. Mm-hmm. That's happening tomorrow.
And Skinner hasn't been at the morning skate, so it'll be interesting to see if he's on the ice tomorrow morning. So
okay,
that'll be a telling sign if he's on the ice. It's normally been Pickard and Campbell on the ice. So,
what do you think, Bosco?
Just the way Knoblauch went, and I think if they're going to sit down and look at the numbers, and this is now a very heavily driven analytics organization now, and they talked about that tonight on Oilers Now, and I think they have no choice to look at the numbers. Like not saying Frank Saravalli digging into the numbers and putting an article out on the Daily Faceoff, which was a good article and broke it down. I'm not saying the Oilers would just boom. That wouldn't be news to the Oilers this morning when that article's out. They would already have that data from before. I think if this series had a 2-day break in between, I think it would be much different because that gives them 2 off days for the goalie coach and that staff to kind of work with them. At the end of the day, hey, Jamie McLennan's a good friend of ours, and he talks glowingly about Dustin Schwartz as a goalie coach. So, and Jamie McLennan's been a goalie coach and obviously had a really good NHL career.
Again, yeah, and look, when times are bad, it's easy to point the finger to
correct
the goalie coach and go, "Wow, look, he's survived 7 head coaches." And
the only thing,
the reason why he didn't get fired the previous 6 or 7,
100%.
It would be it's interesting though that he is down early, but obviously that's a good goal scorer on the other end too, and obviously in Besser and whatnot of making that an opportunity for him to go down early and to sell the shot, and then Skinner bites on it. So it's like maybe reading the play might be a little bit better, but to disagree.
So here's a question for you guys.
Go ahead.
What do you think the Oilers are going to do? Like, what do we think is going to actually happen?
I think Pickard starts, and I think regardless if they win or lose, they go back to Skinner for game 5. I think Pickard starts tomorrow night. whether they lose or win. Maybe if it's a crazy performance. The thing is, at the end of the day, the Canucks and Vander Kane said it. He's like, they've been doing it all playoffs. They've been winning games with less than 20 shots. They figured out a way to art that, like master that, and it was the theme in the Predator series. Now it's a theme in this series. So they've been. The one thing I don't understand is, and obviously you can see the frustration on Tocchet's face. Is like, as soon as the third period hits, the Canucks are up and they're just full in like, we're going to let you defend mode. And now I know the shots were 15-2 in the third period last night, but the high danger chances were 1-1. So like the Oilers had one high danger chance.
What's a high danger chance?
So it's pretty much like in the zone, in the red and down below.
Okay.
Inside the dots.
Yeah, inside the dots.
Okay.
Like, and that was towards the end of the game when McDavid's, when that puck kind of came down before the cross check happened. That was considered their like high danger chance. It was 1-1. So it was.
I find they play like a little bit different last game. I thought they're a little bit more aggressive, but they almost play like an old school, when your kids are novice, you play a box PK.
Yeah.
And they just kind of have that centerman just kind of right on the edge of where the forward and the D are.
Protect the
and
house.
They're just, you guys can skate all you want over here. We're not letting you inside of here.
Now the rest,
they're just standing at the dots and letting them. You're not coming in here.
Yeah. Before we get
to the Oilers have the puck all the time, but they're not really getting it. There's pretty rare they get an awesome scoring chance.
Yeah.
Close your thoughts on what the Oilers should do. You asked the question to me. I'll throw it over to you now, and then you can go back over.
What I think that what I believe that they will do is they'll go back to Skinner because he's their guy.
Yeah. And you say the same, Vandy?
Yeah, and if Skinner,
is the leash very short on him though? Like, is he pulled maybe before the first?
Yes.
Yeah.
The leash is definitely
100%. 100%. And if that's the case, then I think Game 5 they go with Campbell.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that conversation's already happening with Campbell. Maybe they're like, you know what?
Well, like Pickard's he's not a starter.
He's not, no.
So you got a $5 million guy that has finished the year off very well in the AHL. Is obviously, you mentioned it, he's working his ass off to get back in the lineup.
Yeah.
I think you go Game 5, go third string versus third string.
And I think that's a point. Like, he's down at the other end working with all the forwards getting healthy scratched. And then, like one end of the ice is bag skating, healthy scratches, 15-minute drill, really no breaks. And then wants to go get a water, grabs a quick water and sees, a veteran who's not a healthy scratch. Game 5, elimination game, Perry doing tips, and he just runs over and takes the net. Like, there's no one there. It's not like he moved the goalie out. But I thought I don't know. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws here.
No.
He's a good guy, and you cheer for a good guy too. And they're all good guys, right? Like, we're a players podcast, and like you talked about earlier, right? There's probably some pressure. He's
100%. He's a local guy.
Yep.
And I think that weighs on him.
Mm-hmm.
The series will be 2-2 after tomorrow, so
I agree.
So what's the storyline tomorrow night? Is
first shift? Evander Kane better send a fucking message to Nikita Zadorov. Okay. Because Nikita Zadorov is the X factor right now in this series.
Okay.
He's Chris Pronger for some reason. I don't know how that's happened, but he's Chris Pronger.
Connor Garland is another one. Like,
because the way you looked at it, like, I think Ekholm thought that was an icing. I really do, on that first shift. And so he got leveled by Lindholm. Then he got leveled by Joshua right after. And he eased up on the play thinking there was an icing. Either the arena was so loud, nobody communicated, or he didn't hear his goaltender or his other defenseman, or didn't hear the linesman. But the tone was set right there. And then they showed the Canucks bench, and Tocchet's just laughing before the puck even drops. Like, like,
he's pretty chill, eh?
Yeah, like, he's just chill. And like, you got Adam Foote and Sergei Gonchar and Mike Yeo. That's a great coaching staff. Not saying anything bad. I think you got a Hall of Famer on the other end, and Paul Coffey. So, they
got to figure out a way to get Knobloch not playing this guy's 29 minutes. Like,
oh my God.
It's kind of like a catch-22. People, why don't we have any depth scoring? Like, well, they don't get on the ice for not step one. Yeah. Well, why don't they get on the ice? Like it's back and forth. Like, of course, why aren't they scoring? Of course they're not. They're not playing. How could they? Like, to me, Janmark, Ryan, Holloway were all excellent yesterday in playing. I don't know what they played. 6 minutes would be a guess.
Yeah, they didn't play a lot.
All three of those guys were excellent, which means they had in that, I don't know what it is, if somebody looks it up, 6, 7, 5, whatever it was, minutes, means they only had X amount of shifts, and I noticed them a lot in those X amount of shifts. Right? I mean, like, they're good. They're doing well. I think Holloway is going to score tomorrow, to be honest. And I think he deserves 12, 13 minutes of ice. And I think guys like McLeod, like, is he even playing? Come on, man. Do something new. Do something other than the power play. You got to do something.
Yeah, Warren Fogle under 9 minutes. Derek Ryan under 8 minutes.
Of course.
McLeod 11 minutes. Janmark only 6 minutes of ice time.
And he was very good yesterday.
Very noticeable, very engaged, right? Like he went back and forth with TJ Miller.
100%.
Right? So, and then,
how much did Holloway play?
Minutes. Yeah.
11.
Who?
He was really good.
Yeah, Holloway played 11, yeah.
So here's what happens. So
McLeod 11 minutes too, but McLeod, everything is a 0 across his board there.
Yeah, he does nothing.
There's no hits, there's no blocks.
Right.
There's just nothing.
You're playing 29-97, 18 for, let's say they get a minute and a half shift. Now you get a power play. Now those guys are going out there, they're dog tired.
Yeah.
And now it's no wonder bad passes. What's the first thing that goes when you get tired? It's your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now that you're relying on instinct, you don't have that strength to make that cross-ice pass or even that one-timer. And I mean, you got to find a way to get, and who knows? I mean, I don't know. Like, I love coaches, but is he getting lost in the moment? Is he just reverting back, where you panic and you just, I got to play. We're chasing the game again. I got to play Leon and Connor and Hyman.
And how many coaches have been through? That's what they do when shit goes sideways.
Right.
Next.
Well, the storyline is like
we together.
When we dissect the Oilers season, we never question Leon or Connor, right? We don't question Bouchard. We're not questioning Ekholm. We're definitely not questioning Hyman. Like, that's the 5 that are doing it. So it's the same thing after. It's Skinner didn't perform well and the depth didn't show up. So you guys talked about it. This is where Evander Kane shines. I believe Evander Kane will shine huge tomorrow night. Like he had.
You know what the answer is too, Bosco and Clay, is splitting up McDavid and Draisaitl. It's more opportunity for more guys to get more ice, dial them back a little bit, and now you've got 2 lines that at least can produce. Think how many times in the game that line was on, the big line, and it was just basically like a power play for a minute and a half. They'd go off the ice, and then it was nothing for 2-3 minutes.
Had 3 minutes or 4 minutes to survive. Like once those guys go off, he's like the next 3 or 4 minutes, we just got to survive and get through, and outperform the other guys. And then in 3-4 minutes, now you're on huge survival mode because the ice is on the other end because they're dictating the play. I agree. They got to separate them. I go back to Nuge, McDavid, and Hyman, and I go, you got to go Evander Kane with Leon Draisaitl. And is it Warren Fogle? That was a bad gaffe yesterday. Like, I would maybe go Dylan Holloway. Put Dylan Holloway with Kane, with Draisaitl and Kane. So
they got to do something.
Yeah,
and I think the answer is splitting up McDavid and Draisaitl. You can throw them out together here and there after after penalty kill like they do, and after a TV timeout or something. But play them separate lines, so at least you have 2 scoring threats.
You need to get some 5-on-5 goals for sure.
Yeah.
Where are you at with CC and Nurse right now, closer? Concerned, not concerned? Or are they just surviving? Do the urgency need to be a little bit more better there in that?
I don't think it's the urgency. I just think they need to see. I think CC's banged up or something because he's really struggled. And for the most part over the season, I've always said anyways, did anybody even notice CC tonight? Which in a positive way, right? Not in a negative at all. Where now you're noticing him because he's not quite able to make the plays that he used to. Which is unfortunate. And Nurse, I think, is reverting back to, when he's playing his best, he's simple. When he's playing a little bit too aggressive, trying to beat one more guy, trying to make a pass that isn't quite there, is when he kind of struggles. And you're seeing that now, right? He's missing a few too many passes. You'd like to see him just, instead of making the 74-foot pass over there, just make the 6-foot pass to your buddy right in front of you. And just simplify, take a deep breath. And like Strudwick says, like, it's okay to go on the ice and come off and it be equal. Like, that's a good, just not everything has to be positive, right? Just come off, okay, yeah, we're good. That was just an even shift. You can build from there. You don't have to win every shift, I think is what he said.
Yeah, Daryl Sutter would talk about that a lot too.
100%.
Yeah, Bandy, your thoughts with
the I mean, like, make no mistake about it, Vancouver's rolling with their third and fourth line are dominating, second, even their second line, and those are the minutes that in the regular season you can kind of, Ekholm and Bouchard will probably eat those minutes, but now we're in the playoffs and it's amped up that much more, and they're getting exposed in areas where they might not have gotten exposed in the regular season. Quick plays, quick ups, simple plays like Brody just said. And they're just, it's just not going for them. And then, you think of the replacements in Quicksand, that movie, The Replacements, talk about quicksand. The harder you try to get out of it. Trying to make that 40-foot pass instead of the 10-footer. It snowballs, and everybody thinks, oh, well, they're professional, and yeah, they are, but they're also humans. So when you're under pressure, you revert to what you got away with, or you get away with sometimes, and that's mentally they just go back to what they probably go back to when they were a kid, and I can make that 40-foot pass or 40-foot exaggeration, but they just that's the easy play. Nah. Sometimes the hardest play or the easiest play is the one that's in front of you, but they'll be fine. They just got to get back to basics. They're getting, I question if CC's injured as well, because they're getting, like, Vancouver comes at you, Joshua, and that Connor Garland's turning into, like, remember the Flames Oilers back in the day? He's like fucking that rat that just, every time he's got the puck, you just know he's going to create something, and he might get that one off his ass or off a defenseman's skate. And it's just like, fuck.
He's Vancouver's version of Victor Arvidsson, I guess you might want.
What I would like to see from Darnell is, what we saw Connor take at the last, the suspensions and the fines. I want to see Nurse, because that's the kind of player go after a Lindholm, a Pedersen.
Yeah. Skate by the pitch and tell them why.
Exactly.
Up until game 2, before game 2, the last 5 games Darnell Nurse played, he only had 2 hits. 2 hits in 5 games. So
that's not good enough.
How's that possible?
Yeah.
Not good enough.
And then obviously game 1, he had no hits, CC had no hits, Kulak had no hits, and Desharnais had no hits. Bouchard and Ekholm are the only defensemen that had hits.
I think Desharnais injured too.
Game 2. That game to change too. Desharnais still might be hurt from that low bridge that Trevor Moore gave him. That might be an injury that's hindered him. We might find.
Get him out. Let's get Stetcher in. Like,
no way.
What the fuck
Keep
are we
the
doing?
Big man in.
I know, but like, if they continue to struggle like this, because look at Joshua.
So we're now the theme now. What is Vancouver doing good? We've dissected the Oilers here. There's things they can do good. There's things that they're not doing so good.
They play like Tocchet.
Yeah.
They finish everywhere on the ice. They finish. Like, you dump a puck in, it's the 4-1,000 rule. You're not going to get it called. You got to be prepared to get a hit 4 seconds after you put that puck in play. And that's all they're doing it all over. And they got the Joshuas, even Lindholm is he's a good player anyway. Pedersen, I see threw a hit last night. Everybody's kind of buying in. Yeah, the Oilers are, we outshot him.
Played pretty good making a debut and only played 5 regular season.
Guys are stepping in. It's plug and play right now, and the Oilers.
Nils Ullmann had a good play too. He just stepped in. Obviously, Giuseppe had to leave for personal reasons for the Canucks, but hopefully everything's good there.
But that's where our bottom 6, middle to bottom 6, have got to look in the mirror and go, okay, like, we're getting our show run by, like, Joshua is making a name for himself, and he's obviously a good player. He's in the NHL, but Connor Garland, like, if I'm Dylan Holloway, Ryan McLeod, and I get it, they're not getting the ice time, but like, you got to be pissed off enough to where you go to coach and go, let me get us in, because you guys need help.
Yeah,
and they need to, like, in my opinion, few shifts in a row, chip a puck in a corner eat it, cycle the puck.
Mhm.
There doesn't have to be a scoring chance. Just like finish some checks, man. Go
Get
low to high,
momentum.
get to the net, cross check somebody on the way to the net, fucking retrieve the puck, battle, cycle it again, and get off the ice. Like,
Right.
and that would be a wicked, like, that would be awesome. And they're not doing that.
No.
Maybe it's time to bring in Carrick or, you know, who else? I don't know. Carrick's probably a guy, I think.
Yeah, you trade a first round pick to get him and Henrique. Now I don't know. Like I got posted something on Twitter yesterday. Now Twitter, 25% of people have Twitter online. You're gonna get people crazy, people going at you too. But you know, a bunch of fans said his ankle's broken. I text people in the Oilers organization. They say there's no broken ankle, so there's no broken foot. So,
Who, Carrick?
yeah, no, Henrique. So they said there's an injury, lower body injury, but there's no break.
Okay, then why isn't Carrick playing?
So he's playing
in there.
he's playing over Derek Ryan because Derek Ryan wins you faceoffs, right? And
Kills penalties. Well, so does Carrick, but
Carrick kills penalties, but his faceoff is not that high. So that's kind of why he's in. Now, would you just healthy scratch Connor Brown and just put Carrick in on the wing? It's more size.
Connor Brown even playing? Like, oh my God, come on, man.
Yeah, I just
like look in the mirror, boys. Come on. Yeah. Like, let's get after it tomorrow.
And they will. Tomorrow's the day.
I think so.
Holloway is scoring, man. Holloway is scoring.
Okay, I'm betting it right now. Anytime goal score.
I'm surprised you haven't already.
Yeah, you know, the Canucks look like they're out for blood, and it looks like the Oilers are just playing game 47 of the regular season right now.
Very good point.
It's 29 and 9.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
It looks like
I kind of disagree.
It looks like the Canucks are playing for keep, and I don't know. That's just my assessment. Like,
do you guys think you're skewed because the Oilers have the puck the whole time? And the Oilers have the puck.
I just think it goes back to like this first round matchup that the Oilers had these last couple of years, in my opinion. Like, besides maybe the first year, you know, they beat LA in 7. You had Jonathan Quick, who, you know, reason why LA was probably in that series up till game 7. But, you know, like, I don't know, like, there was really no desperation against LA. And then the Canucks were playing desperate hockey against the Preds. Like, the Preds kind of dictated a little bit of that series, but it was not easy. There was a couple comebacks that the Canucks had, but, you know, they were fighting for their lives, and they had to fight for their lives even more when their third string goaltender went in net. So obviously you're going to play a little bit better, a little bit more tighter. Now, do you reverse?
Did you hear the story about him?
Yeah, I think Vandy talked a little bit of last roundtable pod, right? But where
about him, where he's living and what happened.
Yeah, he wanted the closed shutters or whatever to keep his.
Did you hear this, Clay?
No.
They gave him an apartment, apparently a team-owned apartment, which is kind of just adjacent to the building. And he was coach was talking about how low maintenance he is. He finally came to them. It was new. There was no blinds, so he finally went to like, man, I'm getting up at like 5:30 in the morning when the sun comes. I think I could get some blinds.
That shirt too that he wears too is hilarious.
That is unbelievable.
That shirt that JT Miller was wearing in practice.
Yeah,
he seems like a character. But yeah, he got MVP of the last Worlds, right? They got bronze. Latvia got bronze, and he got MVP of the tournament. So last year when Luch and Toffoli won for Canada, but you know, he's holding his own right now. And how long does that last? You know, is that?
Well, I think, and you talk about adversity, and adversity can come in obviously many different forms, but it helps when you go through it in the playoffs and you come out victorious during Nashville. Everybody pegged Nashville. They came in hot. Vancouver, you know, had to show up. Edmonton kind of had, I wouldn't say, you never want to say an easy time, but they kind of breezed through LA. Weren't really challenged.
No, they weren't.
Vancouver, you know, Demko and then DeSmith, and now they're going with third string. That adversity galvanizes a team, and now you know, all you got to do is give them a glimpse and a glimmer of hope that oh fuck, we could do this. And now here they are. Okay, here's how we got to do it. Now the buy-in as a coach from talking, not that they didn't have it before, but that buy-in, that belief becomes even more. So if Taka tells me you got to go out there and hit 97 every chance you get, and they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So it's
so right, Clay.
A lot to be said. Right. A lot to be said about that. And then, I mean, the Oilers, they'll figure it out. They're not. Everybody on Twitter is going, "Oh fuck, when the world's blowing up." No, man, like they're talking about this. Here's what we got to do. Here's, Connor and Leon are probably going, look, you got to play these guys. You get them out, get them going, give them a shift, start them if that, you know what I mean. But they will probably be the first to admit that they're playing too much.
Connor was asked about it today. He just said, "No, I'm fine." He's like, "Just
of course they are, yeah."
And I understand that you're going to say that
100%.
When the coaches,
they'll be fine. It's going to be 2-2 Thursday. We're going game 5.
I like it, and I'm going to game 6.
There you
Perfect.
go. There you go.
The clincher.
The clincher.
Yeah.
The closest going to the clincher.
That's right. Yeah.
Before we move on to the other series, there's obviously a theme in some of these other series, so it could be a good transition. But it has been a focus of conversation in this series, refereeing. The Kelly Sutherland does not do good when he's doing the Canuck games, but Chris Rooney does do good when he does the Canuck games. So just like Steve Kazari does not do good when he does Oiler games, the record with Steve Kazari as a referee is not good. Again, probably doesn't mean anything. It's a moot point, but where are you at right now, Vandy, with the refereeing in the NHL playoffs? Is it a problem? Is it where are you at? Or is it?
Well, yeah, I don't like. You can put your tinfoil hat on and talk about how gambling could be running all professional sports, that kind of thing. We can go deep into that, but I don't. I mean, look, at the end of the day, there are calls that, and I'll kind of stick up for the refs as well. I mean, they're under a lot of pressure when they do these games. Like they know that the minute they put that whistle to their mouth, that could impact a team's chances to move on, kind of thing. So I question the Ekholm, everybody, JT Miller cross-checking Leon 3 times, no call, and then Ekholm, just his stick happens to break. It wasn't even he just was leaning on the guy and it broke, and he gets cross-checking, and then Kane gets railroaded into the boards laughing because he drew a penalty, and then Perry gets like an unsportsmanlike or whatever he got when they even is that what it was?
Minor, he just served it, but that
that
was a weak call. Like that, like Zadora putting Kane in the bench, it's not a penalty. Like
I didn't think so either.
Yeah, it's never been a penalty. And I bet you what probably happened, like we're not on the ice, but whoever called it a penalty, the other referee probably was like, "You called what?" He's like, and he probably would have said, "He's like, we've never called that a penalty." So now the other ref had to make up a call and be like, "Okay, someone grabbed the stick, right?" But you can see Perry, he's like pulling everyone back because I think he saw that they were getting a power play, and that's the Oilers' biggest nuclear weapon right now. And the Canucks might be building off that because they killed a couple towards the end off the game. I don't know. It's like you're not going to stop that power play.
I don't know.
It's the best power play he's ever seen in the history of hockey, and that's saying something because the star-studded talent that Rick Tocchet played with during his career and has won cups with, and not. But yeah,
I think it's normal. I think it's just another thing that the players have to fight through, and it's not like they're. Well, I know probably catch heat for this, but I don't think they're dictating how the game is played. That could be wrong, but
there's not enough. It's just not happening.
Brody,
I think it's insane that either side could say that the reffing's terrible the other way.
It's
just been not very good all around, in my opinion.
Right.
In the second round, it has. Hasn't. It has not been good. The first round, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, 100%.
The concerning part when you get to the second round and obviously the third round and the Stanley Cup final, those are the better refs. Usually, there's 10 officials that got let go after round 1 was done. So, they're home for the rest of the summer. So yeah, you definitely got to figure this part out and see where it's at. I don't know. It is what it is. I guess it always is somewhat of a topic of conversation, and it is in every series. And it really hasn't been.
It shouldn't be, man.
It should.
They're trying their best, and
they are.
For the most part, they do a really good job, and there's zero chance any of it is one side.
And I would agree.
It just isn't.
It's been pretty even for the most part in terms.
Of course.
Bad, right? One of the things that was talked about in Vancouver the other day was Rick Tocchet normally has never, even throughout his tenure in the Coyotes organization, and especially this year, he's never talked about refereeing. So before this series, he was very vocal on some of the things that he said. Obviously, after game 3, he talked about the slew foots that Evander Kane had on Zadorov and he called him Huggy. It was Hughes, but so obviously it was.
They call him Huggy.
They call him Huggy. Yeah, it's his nickname. Yeah. So I just thought, it was interesting that he's not a coach that normally speaks about the refereeing, but he has had some conversations through media these last few days. But we'll see where it's at in terms there. I think it just, at the end of the day, it evens itself out throughout the whole season. There really hasn't, and we'll move over to this Dallas series. We'll finish up on that with the Oilers series here in the Canucks series. Very interesting. It's actually probably been the best series in round 2. I would say it's been really good hockey. Dallas, Colorado. Game 4 is right now, and Dallas is up 1-0. They are out shooting Colorado 18-2 in the game. And the second period had just started, so. Obviously, yeah, 18-2, 18-3 now. Just looks like Miles Wood just got a shot on net. So, first and foremost, yes, we're a players podcast. News broke just before our podcast got started. Valery Nichushkin, hell of a player, great hockey player. He's back in the players assistance program. So, we're kind of thinking of him and hoping all the best for him. I know that's a tough situation. It's the 3rd time he has now been in, and he'll be suspended.
It's the 3rd time.
It's the 3rd time, yeah. So he won't now this 3rd time he is in for 6 months without pay. The previous 2 times he was in for the 28 days, and he did get paid. Now he will not get his salary, so he's in for a max 6 months. And then he has to appeal to get back in for
That doesn't mean he's in rehab for 6 months.
He's in the program for 6 months.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
From what I understand, when you're in that program, you are shut off from everything that's around your life, like your phone and all that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're not allowed your cell phone. You're like, you don't see your family. Like you're in.
So it's like, essentially he is in rehab.
He is in rehab. Yeah. So he's been in rehab. So
what did it do? We don't know what he tested.
You know what? I do.
What were the previous?
Yeah.
We had that one run in the hotel, right?
Yeah. So this is the second time.
That was a shit show.
This is the second time he's disappeared in the playoffs. Obviously, last year was the first time, and then he got checked into the program again throughout this regular season. So first time was last year in the playoffs against Seattle, where Colorado lost in the first round, and then he had another incident this year, or I wouldn't say incident, just another. At the end of the day, he failed a test, so we can all probably put 2 and 2 together. The difference with this program is it's made public, right? For the most part, like they make it public saying this player is checked into this program. Back in the day, it was worse because they actually said what you're going in for. So they've kind of cleaned up what you're exactly going in.
Yeah, for. And didn't Brad Myers help?
Yeah, 100%.
Start that program.
Yeah,
he would only do it if they kept it anonymous, not the player, but obviously, but details, what they were going in for.
Yeah. Now he has a lifetime ban from the National Hockey League.
But
he hit over that mark that they have. So obviously we don't want that to happen with Nichushkin, but as a players podcast, we're always thinking of him. I posted something on our podcast Instagram account that ties into our Facebook account too, and I'm just thinking of these guys. It's tough because when they go in, they're in. So now I know that works for the 28 days. You're shut off from the outside world. Your phone is handed in, and social media and family visits and all that. Now I don't know. If you're in for 6 months, are you getting some kind of visits from family members or whatnot? I don't know. I'm assuming if it's 28 days, it might be the same for 6 months, but I can maybe search and find that information.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see it being for 6 months.
Yeah, well, it says in the release from the NHL saying he is in there for 6 months. So now, I just don't know.
6 month suspension.
It's not even a suspension. It's just he's. I guess, maybe it is. I don't know. They didn't say suspension, right? So,
I just hope he figures his shit out.
That's
right.
it. Yeah, he is a really good hockey player, and he's a difference maker when he gets on that ice. And Colorado misses him a lot. And our friend Rupper loves that guy too.
He does. Rupp does like him.
Yeah, he's a fan of him for sure. So, yeah, so hopefully things go good there. But yeah, Dallas is doing good in this series. They've held Nathan McKinnon to 2 points 5-on-5 so far in this series. They've held him to 5 shots in this series too, up until this game started tonight. So, and Dallas didn't pay a first round pick for Tanev. I think the Rangers didn't pay a first round pick for anyone either. And I think there's another team in the playoffs too. Maybe it was Carolina that didn't pay a first round. No, sorry, Florida was the other team. So Tanev looking pretty good. And on the back end for a Stars team that are really only playing 5 defensemen, Lundqvist is only playing like 3 minutes a night when he gets out there. So Hakanpov is not healthy right now, and our friend Alexander Petrovich is doing good in the minors, but I don't know if he'd play. He only played 1 game this year in the NHL, his first game in 5 years. But yeah, Stars looking good, guys. And when you're out shooting 20-4,
they are a wagon. They are so good.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah,
we're young, like their goalie. How old's Ottinger? Like 24.
Yeah, he's probably around 24, 25. I can quickly look. Right. As you talk about them, closer, I'll check that up right now.
You got Stankoven.
Well, they remember him in the World Juniors.
Yeah. Pardon me?
Remember him in the World Juniors.
Yeah, he's nuts, man. They're really, really good. And like, if Jamie Benn's on your 3rd or 4th line, you're a pretty good hockey team. Like
and they got like this skinny Kyle Connor youth version Wyatt Johnson who this guy's logging minutes against the Nate dog.
As you just talked about him, he just scored. So
yeah,
that's 2-0. And
that's the second of the game.
Ottinger is 25 years old. Vernon Fiddler sent me a text too, so we'll get to Fiddler's text because it actually is a good talking point.
And they're D,
I didn't forget about him, but I just didn't mention him. He's a stud, and he's a young kid, and he's not even like pedigree wise. Was he a 2nd, 3rd rounder?
Wyatt Johnson, yeah, he was, yeah. So 2nd round pick, and just like a Draisaitl type goal right on the goal line on the power play, and just a nice pass.
He can't be more than 170 pounds.
No chance.
Yeah.
And just
his development kind of got hindered by the Ontario Hockey League not playing that year during COVID, right? So you got to add that to the equation of 19 years old, what this kid's doing, and not having that year of development where you had Shane Wright, who didn't do that, and Shane Wright is right now just American Hockey League player. He had somewhat good games when he got called up towards the end of the year, but this pick, Wyatt Johnson, and just
listen, take a look at all the guys we're talking about. A majority of them are Dallas Stars draft picks.
All
of them.
100%. Iskinen, yeah.
Larry Nell, and is it Nell?
Iskinen's
Jim Nell, yeah.
Jim Nell, sorry, yeah. Fuck. Yeah, they're good, dude.
We stole all Detroit's guys, right?
They did. All the Detroit guys
took
the contracts offers, so they all went over there. So, and these guys grind. They grind. So and you could tell, you got Esa Lindell, you got Miro Heiskanen on the back end.
Lindell's a good player too.
Oh yeah, just
right.
And then obviously Jason Robinson and Wyatt Johnson.
And I could be wrong and speaking totally out of turn, but I'm pretty sure that the community that they've built down there with in the Dallas, most of the players are stay by each other. Much like a Vegas-esque, where they're around each other. The kids are growing up together. Families are always together. That pays dividends, especially 100%. when you're heading into the grind of the season, right? Wives can lean on each other. Kids, whatever, anything. It's unbelievable. No, it's Colorado's in trouble. I thought they would come all guns a-blazing today, but I think the Nikushkin thing probably rattled the shit out of them.
Sometimes that is a good thing. Not a good thing. Yeah, they rally around it.
I thought they would too, but
yeah,
they got the news that apparently. Well, they might have got the news before, but they got the news 90 minutes before the puck drop kind of came out, and then obviously Devon Taves is not in the lineup either, so that's a big loss.
That's a huge loss. He's one, in my opinion. He's one. I don't want to say he's underrated, but in my world, he's not recognized for the stud that he is. Like he's one of to me, he's a phenomenal he's a number one defenseman. He's better than anything the Oilers have.
I agree with you.
And he's just kind of known as a second pairing or, a 1B type of defenseman. Like he's a stud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He is very, very fun to watch. And so Dallas theme here. Obviously, we'll fit this in. Fids just sent me a text. And I don't, with all these coaching interviews going on and names going on, and obviously, Craig Berube got interviewed on Saturday with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Today, Todd McCullough got interviewed by Toronto. But Fiddler goes, why isn't Todd Nelson getting any attention? He's like, what's this?
No
all this guy does is win. Fids is not wrong, where are you guys?
And for like a decade.
Yeah. Like had a cup of coffee with the Oilers organization as a head coach, but all he does is win the American Hockey League. His name's never really brought up. Where are we at here with this? Like, where do you think, the kind of like, obviously you should be
talking. I think it's because he has a list, but nobody can take him seriously, and they're not doing it. That's not nice. I'm sorry. I take it back.
Take it back. Where are you at with him as a head coach and what you've seen of his resume closer?
Well, you're right. All he does is win, and for like I just mentioned, like a decade, right? He had no real chance here when he was with the Oilers. I mean, not good. Didn't matter who Scotty Bowman was coaching; they weren't going to win anything. But all he has done is win, and I don't know. Is he part of the reason Stankoven's good? Did he ever coach him? Was Wyatt Johnson get a year under the belt to him or no?
He hasn't been their coach down there. No, they haven't.
Yeah,
no, like those guys didn't like. They've had a different coach down there for a couple of years now.
He's with Hershey.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, he was there. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't know that. I just think that it is funny though that he never gets any legitimate. You never see top 2, top 3s in the mix of any jobs that are coming up. I find that odd.
Yeah.
I'd like to know why. I have zero idea why.
Yeah, I just put the text out to a few insiders, so maybe we'll get something back as we're talking about it or not. But we'll see. To a few people in the game, I just kind of sent it out. But where are you at, Vandy? You're huge. You're coaching. You have appreciation for.
I'll be honest. This caught me off guard. I totally forgot about him.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about him.
I heard his name a bit, like just in terms of it. Like this was like a couple weeks ago. Now
I assume Fids played with him or played for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Our friend Matthew Phillips is with that Washington organization, so I could text him.
Well, so could it be that when you look at Jared Bettenauer and what he did at the minor pro level, but could it be that like hockey players where some coaches just maybe, or some GMs just they see him more as an AHL guy? Maybe he's more of a development guy as opposed to maybe he's where he
should be, I guess.
Should be, maybe. I don't know. Or perhaps he's more comfortable out in the development role in the AHL. I don't know. I mean, that's a question that
like Fitz isn't wrong. I hope he's not mad for me talking about it. Just like in the text, he sent it. Good timing. He sent it, I would say. But all he does is win. So that's all you would ask.
Yeah, he's got 5 championships.
Yeah,
in the UHL, AHL 3 times. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's one or the other. It's either
easier right now in the National Hockey League just because one head coach gets fired from one NHL organization. It's easier to interview that guy on another team. It's just you're just going to recycle these NHL coaches that keep getting fired instead of having.
The way it works, man. It's the NHL,
and it is. You're not wrong, but is it like where does the change need to be? Now we're seeing a few, NCAA coaches now getting some love and some opportunities in the NHL too. But you're still at the end of the day, like when Toronto's vacancy's up, it's all the same names we've heard before: Gerard Gallant, Jay Woodcroft, Todd McCullough, Craig Berube. It's just a guy that got fired from over here is coming over here, right? Like, Sheldon Keefe now is the front runner for the New Jersey Devils job. job now, right? And it's like, obviously last week that wasn't the case. And like the weird narrative was going, okay, he gets fired from Toronto. He's going to quickly go over to the Penguins, and then Sullivan's going to go over to the Devils, and then Berube's going to go over to the Leafs. So
I have a theory, guys, on NHL coaching.
Okay.
Just the NHL. No, not U13, not junior, not this. Is that all of the coaches are awesome, and it doesn't matter who the coach is. To me, the Oilers would be just as good if friggin' Jacques Lemaire was the coach, or Jay Woodcroft is the coach, or this guy's the coach. They're all awesome. And whoever has the best players wins.
Now,
that's my theory.
Your theory's not wrong. Like, I wonder if Todd Nelson has to come back to the NHL in an assistant coaching position or an associate coach position, kind of like Travis Green did. Travis Green, former head coach of the Canucks, took a couple of years out, came back as an assistant / associate coach, then interim coach with the Devils, and now got a 4-year contract with the Sens. Is that Nelson's way of getting back into the NHL circuit here, Dandy?
Try something.
He really hasn't had a head coaching spot in the NHL, so you wonder. I mean, do GMs maybe not trust him, or I don't know what it could be. Is he just that good at the developmental level, i.e. the AHL, where you
get slotted there for the rest of your career in a way?
You get typecast as that, right? Yeah.
It's,
like that floored me. I totally forgot about him. Yeah. But you look at it and get into what Brody was saying is, I mean, when you've got names like Gallant, like McClellan, like Woodcroft, like Keefe, and don't forget Joel Quenneville might be coming back into the mix too here soon.
He will in no time.
Right? I mean, when you've got those 4 guys, 5 guys, 6 guys, I mean, Nelson kind of takes a back burner, and then as Todd, if you're Todd Nelson, you find a spot where you're comfortable, and you know what, I'm happy here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Joel Quenneville. It sounds like if he's coming back in the National Hockey League, it will be as an advisor and somewhat management role, just like he did when he left St. Louis to come back and he worked for the Chicago Blackhawks.
Not going to be the Maple Leafs next head coach, Bosco, or what?
It doesn't sound like he's been interviewed, just because Gary hasn't talked. He has to get reinstated by the National.
Yeah, he's got to be reinstated. Right? That's what that Strickland interview said.
Yeah, I think
you could still have a meeting with him, still talk to him.
You can, right. Oh yeah, well, I
think that would be a probably better play if you're a team. Go to the NHL and go, we want him and we support him, and here's how we're going to make this work. And
he's not doing that.
Smooth it over.
Yeah, he's not doing that interview with Andy Strickland without Gary Bettman's blessing at the end of the day.
100%.
He's getting that interview. He's getting the okay by Gary to do that. So, yeah, interesting to watch, I guess, for sure. We kind of touched on that there, but let's move over east real quick. Friend of the pod, Jordan Martinook, he was on with us just as one of our first very guests, and Dustin Canal set that interview up as their close friends. But big game tonight from him and his line, and Jordan Stahl got kind of called out before the game, and he stepped up. A big 4-1 win for Eddie Anderson, back in the net, and gets another win, and looking pretty good. The 3-2. Rangers are now facing adversity closer. Where are you at with the Rangers here? And Shesterkin's kind of been lit up these last 2 games, where he had a long streak of not allowing 4 or more goals, and now he's let 4 more in the last 2 games.
I think it's easy for the New York Rangers to take their foot off the gas. 4-0, right? The last series, and now they're like, easy. Let's get 3-0. We'll win the last one. So I think they just took their foot off the gas. They weren't quite as stern as they had been the first round in the first few games. So I have no doubt they're going to come back and win. That being said, Carolina is still a really good team. Really good team. So I hope it goes 7. That'd be awesome to watch the hockey. But I think now the Rangers will just step on it and put them out of their misery.
Vandy, your thoughts on this and those?
Yeah, the same
up
thing.
For Rob Brendamore, right, in Carolina.
It was tonight was a telltale sign. It was 1-0 heading into the third, and the Rangers flat out took their foot off the gas, and they allowed Carolina back into the game. And it started with Jordan Staal, who got called out before the game. I mean, I watched the majority of the game. He was a beast all game. He was in
That
around.
goal was nice.
It was nice. And that's a big man's goal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be a series. I mean, at the end of the day, too, you're not going through. You're not winning the Stanley Cup 16-0. So it's like,
Yeah,
the Rangers got to get some adversity. They'll be fine. I'm sure this series will go 7. I think Carolina will take it back at home, and then it'll go to MSG for Game 7, and we'll win it. But
that'd be awesome.
Blip in the road.
That'd be fun. Okay, let's finish up with the Boston Bruins and Florida Panthers series. Very controversial hit slash punch or whatever you want to call it by Sam Bennett on Brad Marchand. And then obviously a controversial goal last night pushing Charlie Coyle into the net, and the NHL allowing that goal to stand and kind of was a difference maker. But Barkov looked amazing again last night. The Panthers look good. I agree with some of the narrative out there. 90% of this series is just because Florida's better than them. Boston has in the penalty box a lot. Their bottom 6 is not produced like it was kind of somewhat producing in the Toronto series and whatnot. But Closer, your thoughts on the series, what you've seen so far, and how good are the Florida Panthers?
They are so good. I could see Dallas, Florida final. That's how good. They're a wagon too, right? They're big, strong, heavy. They play fast. They have that element of grit. And watching it again, I say this every single year when I start watching the playoffs. Man, that Barkov is special. Right? You don't watch him all year. I rarely watch a Florida Panthers game, and then you see highlights. Yeah, that's pretty good. But when you watch him play, God, he's a good player. He's so good. And like Bennett's unbelievable. Kachuk, obviously, you just go down the line. That team is loaded, and they're big and they're fast and they're strong. They're good. They're a wagon. I don't know how they're. I would suggest it'll be them and Dallas Stars final the way things are kind of looking here.
Yeah, Dallas just scored again. Miro Heiskanen makes it 3-0. Yeah, just a really good fun team to watch for sure.
They're really fun to watch.
Yeah, and that Gustav Forsling, he was a waiver claim. He was a waiver claim for the Panthers.
That's crazy, eh?
And he's turned into being a hella defenseman, only making in his next contract $5.7 million for a guy that's around 40 points.
Only 5.7.
Yeah, only 5.7, but
tax free in Florida.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Abby, your thoughts? I know you like this style of hockey, and I know you're a fan of.
I could watch Florida play. Even Dallas too. They don't play a boring. They play that big man game with little guys. Like Kachuk's not big. Bennett, remember when everybody laughed? He couldn't even do a pull up, man. And I told my kids about that. And now he's an X factor in that series. He changes the way that team plays. And what he did, sorry, Brad Marchand, we're a players podcast, but you live by the sword. How many times has Marchand done that to somebody?
8,472, right. I think is the number.
Right? Whether it was legit punch or not, but there was a little bit of intent there.
You think?
Yeah, and then last night, the cross check, and then he nets the goal. He's changed that series dramatically. Florida is they're so good. Barkov, can you imagine being like 6'3" and just that strong and fuck?
Just an
like his goal he scored is just like, I'm bigger and stronger than you. I'm going here. I'm going to score.
Yeah,
like a Rantanen during when they won the
exactly.
Set,
I was listening to Spit and Chicklets today, and Yandel was talking about him. Obviously, Yandel played with him in Florida when Yandel went to Florida, and looks like Casey Middlestad makes it 3-1 for Colorado. So, just amazing, player, and obviously Yandel talking very highly of him. Never taking a day off in the gym, just working out. Doesn't put any bad things in his body. Doesn't drink. Doesn't do any of that other stuff. He just a professional in every which way. A great captain and a great person and a great teammate. So, maybe he wins.
That's what it takes, man, at that level.
Maybe if they win the cup, he wins the Conn Smythe. Maybe people put some more respect on his name, right? So maybe that's what he might need. Because there has been that conversation. It's like, this guy's never going to win the MVP. He's never going to win a Ted Lindsay and stuff in the regular season. But maybe he needs to, have that playoff success that gets his name out there a little bit more or less for the media or the fans. I think these players in the National Hockey League know who's who and who's not in terms of that. But
and maybe if he doesn't win, he turns into who was the guy who used to be there, ended up in Calgary. He was always the guy like, God, you wanted more from him.
Jokinen, right?
Oh,
Jokin, Ole Jokin.
Ole
Yes,
Jokinen,
Right?
Number
Somebody should tell Barkov that, buddy. You better win. You're gonna be Ole Jokin.
Yeah, you'll be the Ole Jokin of the being in Calgary or maybe Vancouver, something like that. All right, we've been pretty long here, but just to get a quick rip, as quick as it possibly can, Vandy, and we'll throw to you closer to close out. But the press conference in Toronto, no change can happen right now. Obviously, it has to, the Stanley Cup has to play itself out and whatnot. But Vandy, your thoughts on what you would have heard not from that press conference from the manager?
It was, how do you word it? It was trying to cover their tracks, if that, for lack of a better, they know they got to make changes, but they don't want to flat out come out and say they want to make changes. Like, they know that, certain guys aren't going to probably be there next year, but again, you just said they got to wait till the Stanley Cup. Well, don't forget the two guys that everybody's talking about that probably won't be back have got a no move clause. So, I mean, it's kind of a sticky situation that Dubas left them in, but I mean, Tree Living he'll figure it out, and Shanahan, they'll all get together, but it was the same old, well, we tried our best and shucks, we didn't. We ran into a tough Boston team, this, that, the other thing. I mean, if I'm a Leafs fan, I'm not buying it. Come on. I mean, we saw this through the Oilers, through, our dark days as well. It's like we get, leaving you wanting more, right?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. You got to figure shit out. And unfortunately, they're kind of handcuffed, but hopefully and I could give a fucking rat's ass if Toronto ever wins the Stanley Cup again. But for hockey in general, yes, the Leafs are the league is better when the Leafs are in financially, but also from a fan standpoint, is they better do good on what they get for these players that everybody's talking about not coming back. So I mean, we'll see. But to me, it was the same old. We've heard it here in Edmonton. I'm sure Calgary, they get it too. It's like, it's the same old shit. We tried, but not quite good enough.
Yeah.
And, any hockey fan that watches that team knows that they lack a lot more than what even they probably think.
Oh, yeah. Like Austin Matthews, hell of a goal scorer in the regular season, but 1 goal in his last 10 playoff games. Unacceptable, right? So,
but he was one of their best players, if not the best player for them in the playoffs. Yeah. He just didn't have any support.
No, he did not. I agree. Very well said by you. Closer, your thoughts?
I was actually surprised Shanahan still has a job today, because I feel like he was pounding the drum. Well, I don't feel like he was pounding the drum of their core four for X amount of years now, and he still survived that, right?
The one signing off on those big contracts and those no move clauses, like,
and at his level, he'd also be in on the philosophy of that, right? He's not just.
And I found it weird. Keith Pelly talking about Brendan Shanahan's player, like his resume as a player, like it's the mood point. I don't care about his resume as a player. It's what you've done in 10 years as a manager, Right? So, yeah, go ahead, closer. Sorry.
That's okay. I was surprised he kept his job, and then you hear the rest. I don't know, man. It was a bunch of fluff, to be honest. It was pretty shitty, to be honed. It was like, it was boring.
It was boring, that's for sure.
And but they are hamstrung. They don't have a lot of options. Their only option is Martin, right? They're not trading Matthews. Nylander's the best. To me, Nylander was unbelievable.
Correct.
Even considering he was injured there for a bit. You're not trading. Nobody's taking Tavares. Your only option is Marner, and I don't know. I think you'd be a hell of a lot better off getting rid of that $11.5 million and bringing in a $6 and a $5 million defenseman.
Yeah.
Team will look a heck of a lot better. But then you hear people, their problem always is in the playoffs is they don't score. I'm like, well, yeah, because their back end can't get them up the puck. And what do you want them to do?
Yeah.
Right. They're not. I don't know. That's just they're in a big world of hurt unless they can move Marner for something.
Yeah, they'll have a lot more money to play with in 12 months than 3 months from now, right? So
what do you think, Bosco? How was this?
Well, they didn't go all in. They didn't trade their first round pick. They didn't trade Easton Cowan. They didn't trade Fraser Mitten. Like those are like their top prospect players. Like Easton Cowan had a great year, is having a great year for the London Knights. So Fraser Mitten's doing really good in the WHL. Like these guys are their top high end prospects. After that, yeah, it's it's very thin, and there's not many great prospects on their back end coming up right now. So, but they have a first round pick this year, so. And my point is they didn't go all in because they didn't trade that first round pick and they didn't trade those players. Now, Dubas didn't leave them a lot. They don't have second round picks for the next couple of years. And some of it, they don't even have third round picks. So, we just talked about the Dallas Stars draft and develop very well. But like this window of winning is now. It's now for Toronto. It's now for Edmonton because the Edmonton sitting in the same situation with not a lot of prospects, now waiting in the wing.
Name 3 Oilers prospects. I dare you.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Like, it's not good. What is it? Xavier Bargaud had 17 points in the American Hockey League this year? Like he didn't play that good in the American Hockey League this year, and I think he had over 60 games played. So
can you name 3? Name 3 that you're like, oh man, he'll be an Oiler.
I can't. Like like
doesn't exist.
Same with Toronto.
Fine.
Like Toronto had like the Marlies, like they go out and get these older veterans like the Kyle Cliffords and they give them like $500,000 and like that's their prospect system. Like there's not really a lot of guys there and they hide players like crazy. It's like all of a sudden Matt Murray's healthy, his hip surgery's done, he's ready to play, and it's just like buried in the minors and then never heard from ever again, right? It's just like they have money to hide money. And I go to this thing too, it's like Game 7 Boston Toronto in the US, 3.2 million viewers, like that's in the US. Like they generate a lot of revenue in terms of like watching their games. And I think in Canada it was almost around 4 million. So, like I did some digging around, asked around, like I think the highest rated Oilers playoff game to date up until now was 1.7 million viewers. Now I understand they're playing at a later time. So, and we're going to get that as this series is, but everything after this round, everything's a 6 o'clock start. Round 3, 6 o'clock start. So that changes.
Thank God, because I'm so tired.
So it is. Hey, and if Florida ends this series early, these Oiler games and Canucks, if they go 7, these rest of the Canucks and Oilers series is going to start at 6 o'clock. If Florida knocks out Boston tomorrow night, the Oilers and Canucks won't be starting at 8 o'clock at night. They'll be starting at 6 o'clock at night, local time for us. So, but yeah, it is, it's tough in Toronto. You're tied. Darren Ferris is Marner's agent. He's not a good hard agent to deal with. He's not a Jerry Johansson. He's not an Elaine Waugh. Anytime his players get to a situation where they have 1 year left of free agency and ratings on the wall, he just walks his player to free agency. Like he has no reason to say. Now the thing is, if the organization comes to you and they don't want you to be there, do you want to be there?
No.
I wouldn't want to be there. Now, Torrey Krug, different player, but Torrey Krug stayed in St. Louis after they came to him and said, we have a trade for you for Travis Sanheim to go to Philadelphia. And he said no. So the organization didn't want him, but he negotiated in his contract. I have a full no move. So I agree with Jeff O'Neill. If I negotiated on my contract, don't come and talk to me about it. Unless I come to talk to you about it, then don't talk about it. But
maybe that's something they add in next CBA.
Has to be something, right? So some of these teams have 11 no move clauses on them in the National Hockey League. It's crazy, man. It is crazy. I remember John Ferguson Jr. was the GM in Toronto. Like half the team, if not 75% of the team, like Jeff Finger had a full no move clause. He was making $4 million. Like some people listen to this podcast might not even know who Jeff Finger is, and he had a full no move clause in Toronto. He was making $4 million a year. Like it was just
that's awesome.
It was crazy. And it's this funny clip on Overdrive. They do a confirm or deny, and it's a full segment on John Ferguson Jr. because like I can't confirm or deny that. Like he just like it's just
Yeah,
a
that's
little
right.
bit more. It's hilarious, but and obviously Jeff O'Neill didn't have the greatest time with him in Toronto as the GM. But anyways, it's nothing will change until you show me. I could easily see game one, opening night, all those guys being there because the organization knows they'll sell jerseys, they'll sell that arena, and they'll go there. I could easily see that happening, you know? So now, how are you going to answer the question if you sign Mitch Marner to a $13 million contract? Like, there's no which way he can negotiate saying he wants the same as Austin Matthews. He can't. If anything has his contract, he has to be at least a $9 million player.
Buddy, he's getting a raise.
But he's getting a raise for sure, and we know that. And if it's not from Toronto, it's going to be from some other organization. And you know,
Really?
keep it at that. He'll get a raise for sure, Vandy. Like either if he leaves Toronto, he's leaving Toronto on a sign and trade. So like the one thing I saw online, and it was Shane O'Brien
Who the fuck in their right mind would do that?
Shane O'Brien talked about trade him to Chicago.
Dubois did. Somebody just did to Dubois, and he's
you're right.
a 10th of this player.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But Dubois had sample size of dominating in the playoffs, not like Mitch Marner, right? Like
Mitch Marner's going to go to Utah.
Yeah, he could. And
how about this for a Utah name? The Utah Phoenix.
The Utah Phoenix, eh? So
fucking Brody.
I like the Yetis.
Coming out of left field.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be insane. I would do it just to spite.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, we could do another full hour on the Leafs dissecting them, and we don't want to do that. I don't think our fans want to listen to that painful.
No, people tune out Bosco.
They do. Actually, the episode did pretty good on the numbers.
I'm just kidding, buddy.
But anyways, let's finish up on that. You know, this more important stuff has happened here, and that's playoff hockey. The teams that can make it past the first round, they deserve more love. Zing. But hey, it's just the truth, right? So hey, Sheldon Keefe might be a pretty good head coach. I believe he will be. He did a good job getting that team to defend, but his star players couldn't perform when they wanted. I thought it was a very classy video that he did on Twitter. I thought it was very classy, and you hear a lot of good things about him kind of away from the game. But hey, that's hockey, and you hear a lot of good things about a lot of people too. So that's why our game is the greatest in the world, in my opinion. So, and yeah, I guess kind of funny. I guess we can end on a good laugh. You know, our friend behind the Dallas bench. She's gaining traction now, so we'll see how that goes. There might be
Nat G.
Yeah, so it might be a future guest on our podcast. We're in talks.
Get her in the Edmonton girl last night.
Get to work, man.
Yeah, I've been working it. It's getting there. We're getting there. I'm not pushing it too hard, but she is. She's enjoying it. She actually laughed the other day because I tagged Biz and her in the same thing, and she goes, "Do you know Biz?" And I said, "Yeah." So, and then I text Biz and I was like, "Hey, this chick's asking about you." So he's got all excited. So. I think it was on Friday. He was on Pat McAfee's show, and he called her Tits McGee. So he's
that's what he calls her all the time.
Tits McGee and Glass Bangers at
Glass
that
same
I love when he gets on TNT and he tries to talk about her, and Liam McHugh always shuts him down.
Yeah,
he goes, that is saved for a TNT After Dark, and we're not there yet. So. Anyways, you would think that she would join one of those podcasts before ours, but we'll see. We're gaining some traction, and you're right, Brody. That lady behind that Oilers bench last night was can probably give her a run for her money. 2 Canadian girls.
Get her on. Get them both on.
Get them both on the same time for sure. All right, let's finish up on that. Everyone, enjoy the rest of the week. This Canucks series is going 7, in my opinion. So big game 5 for the Oilers here, or game 4 for the Oilers. So we'll be tuned in to see it. You guys take care. Vandy, you have anything to say before we sign out?
No, go Oil.
There you go, Brody.
6-1 Oil.
There you go.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Take care, guys.